Divine grace, founder of Iskana by Charanaravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki, Granth Shrimadbhagavatam ki, their most merciful Lordship Shri Shrimadhikanja Bihari ki, Shri Jagannath Shri Baladeva Subhadra ki, Shri Nathaji Shri Balagopal ki, Shri Gauritai ki, Nitai Go Prem, all glories to the Assembly, all glories to the Assembly, all glories to the Assembly. All glories to the learned spirit of Shri Guru Chigora. If I get up, I'm going to take this microphone off. I need my glasses.
Yeah, mine are getting terrible also. Terrible.
What is it?
Yeah.
What is it?
I have 2 pairs now.
Oh, glasses. Thank you. Yeah, I get about 10.
These are 5.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Narayanam namaskritya
Narayana Namaskritya
naram chaiva narottamam
Naram Chaiva Narottamam
devam saraswatim vyasam
Devam Saraswatim Vyasam
todayamudiraye
Tato Jayam
nasta prayeshu bhadreshu
Prayesu abhadreshu
nityam bhagavata sevaya
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya
bhagavati uttama shloke
Bhagavati Uttama Shloke
bhaktir bhagavati naistiki.
Bhagavati Naistiki.
Reading from Shrimadbhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 8, Text 10. Abhidravati
Vidravati
Mam Isa
Isa
Abhidravati Mam Isa
Abhidravati Mamisa
Saras
Saras
Taptayaso
Taptayaso
Vibho
Vibho
Saras Taptayaso Vibho
Sarastaptayaso Vibho
Kamam
Kamam
Dahatu
Dhatu
Mam
Mam
Natam
Nata
Kamam Datu Mam Nata
Kamam Dahatu Mahanatha
Ma
Ma
Great May
Me
Garbo
Garbo
Nipatyatam
Nipatyatam
Mame Garbo Nipatyatam
Mame Garbo
Nimatyatam
Abhidravati Mamisa
Abhidravati Mamisa
Sarastaptaya So Vibho
Sarastaptayaso Vibho
Kamam Dahatu Mam Nata
Kamam Dahatu Mahanatha
Mame Garbo Nipatyatam
Mame Garbo
Nimatyatam
Abhidravati Mamisa
Abhidravati Mamisa
Sarastaptaya So Vibho
Sarastaptayaso Vibho
Kamam Datu Mam Nata
Kamam Dhatu Mamnatha
Mame Garbo Nipatyatam
Mame Garbo Nipatyatam Abhidravati Mamisa
Abhidravati Mamisa
Sarastaptayaso Vibho
Sarastaptaya So Vibho
Kamam Dhatu Mamnatha
Kamam Dahato Mam Nata
Mame Garbo Nipatyatam
Mame Garbo Nipatyatam Abhidravati Mamisa Sarastaptaya So Vibho Kamam Dahatu Mam Nata Mame Garbo Nipatyatam Abhidravati
Abhidravati
coming towards
Coming
towards
towards
Mam
Mam
Me
Me
Isa
Isa
O Lord
O Lord
Sara
Sara
the arrow
Arrow
Tapta
Tapta
fiery
Fiery
Ayasa
Ayasa
iron
Iron
Vibho
Vibho
O great one
O Great One
Kamam
Kamam
desire
Desire
Dahatu
Dhatu
let it burn
Let it burn
Mam
Mam
Me
Me
sorry not reading Sanskrit from the English Nata
Ta
O protector
Nata O protector
Ma
Ma
not
Not
Me
Me.
oh no. Oh boy we thought this would be so much fun Nay May Bye
My
Garba
Garba
Embryo
Embryo
Nipatyatam
Nipatyatam
be aborted
The Award
Abhidravati Mamisa Sarastaptaya So Vibho Kamam Dato Mam Nata Mame Garbo Nipatyatam. Translation and put forth by His divine grace upon Oh my Lord, you are all powerful. A fiery iron arrow is coming towards me fast. My Lord, let it burn me personally, if you so desire. but please do not let it burn and abort my embryo. Please do me this favor, my Lord. Please repeat, O my Lord,
O my Lord,
you are all powerful.
you are all powerful.
A fiery iron arrow
If I had an arrow
is coming towards me fast.
coming towards me fast,
My Lord,
my Lord,
let it burn me personally,
let it burn me personally,
if you so desire.
if you so desire.
But please do not let it burn
But please do not let it burn
and abort my embryo.
and abort my embryo.
Please do me this favor,
Please do me this favor,
my Lord.
My
Lord.
O my Lord, you are all powerful. A fiery iron arrow is coming towards me fast. My Lord, let it burn me personally, if you so desire. But please, do not let it burn and abort my embryo. Please do me this favor, my Lord. Report by His divine grace, Abhaya Charananda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. This incident took place after the death of Abhimanyu, the husband of Uttara. Abhimanyu's widow, Uttara, should have followed the path of her husband, but because she was pregnant, Maharaj Parikshit, a great devotee of the Lord, was lying in an embryo. She was responsible for his protection. The mother of a child has a great responsibility in giving all protection to the child. And therefore Uttara was not ashamed to express this frankly before Lord Krishna. Uttara was the daughter of a great king, the wife of a great hero, and student of a great devotee. And later, she was the mother of a good king also. She was fortunate in every respect. Om Gyanatmanandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshu Sunmilitam Hena Tasmai Shigirave Namah. What a contrast to the nature of mothers today. Today they're fighting for the right to kill the baby in the womb. And here she is asking if a life has to be taken, that it be hers. Sorry. I'm a sentimentalist still. When we consider how many millions since this abortion law has been passed that mothers can legally abort their children, how many millions of children have been aborted? And here we see, this was 5,000 years ago, but this is what was once considered the natural love a mother would have to protect her child. And we see this even in the animal kingdom, that mothers automatically protect their children even against wild beasts, birds like ducks and other such creatures. In the presence of a wild snake, they will always defend their young, even though they themselves know they're defending for their life. So this is even instinct born into, by nature, the animal kingdom. So how much higher human beings are supposed to be, and what would naturally be the measuring stick of the height of a human being's development? Would it not be love? In some people's minds, love probably is not the highest development, highest feature of a human being to develop. But it is because love is not seen as that pure relationship between God and the soul. Love is seen as that attraction that men have for women and women have for men, and then that they also extensively have for their own children, their own kind, their own city, their own nation, their own country. But love for God gets left out in the definition of what love is in a secular society, which we, for the most part, are living in the United States. They have turned a practically, you could say probably more than 90% God, quote unquote, fearing society. When the settlers first came, although they were all different sects, they all had faith in God. But now it has turned practically the opposite direction. And churches now, I wasn't going to say churches, I was going to say schools, are basically run by atheistic promoters of books, writers of books that believe there is no God. And so now we are getting the result of that kind of training in young people's minds when they grow up to be mature, 18, 19, 20 years old. It is revealed what they are harboring in their hearts when they, by outbreaks, bring machine guns and your rifles, want to kill the president, want to kill this group, want to kill that. It's just crazy. And it is only because they're not properly being trained at the very youngest ages on what the best engagement for the human body is, which is what we have the great fortune of knowing, what engagement is, that best engagement for the human being. Even with this knowledge, however, we take it for granted. And you know, we used to see, when you go out in the field distributing books, you'll run into people that they honestly want to take the book. They don't have money. This is true with a lot of students. But it's very difficult to distinguish between those who will take the book and read it and those who will take the book and throw it in the garbage. Very difficult to distinguish between. So our motto always was we had to at least get back as much as it cost to print the book. And then what it is as well, in the mind of the person who received the book, if they had to take something out of their pocket to give it to you, it at least puts that much value in it. But you know what? By that transfer of that book, those people are getting going to they're going to have the means to read the words coming out of the very mouth of the very one who can liberate them from the bonds of birth, death, old age, and disease, like we have been liberated now. All the time you're spending in Krishna consciousness, none of that is in Maya. None of that is in illusory energy. And all that illusory energy is that is leading people to death. So it looks to me as though all devotees are going to be brought to that relationship with Krishna, or could at the end of this life Krishna asks you where you want to go. You want to go. Good. Narad Muni, our hero, is what he's setting the example so that we know what is possible. But we know we want to go to be with Krishna. Now, I was speaking a few classes ago about the glories of Abhimanyu, because on the battlefield at the young age he was. But here we are seeing Uttara was his wife. He was only 16 years old when they killed him on the battlefield. So how young an age it was that he was taking a wife. But obvious from the arts he had mastered, he was beating the masters at 16 years old. He was beating the masters who had been practicing this art your whole lives and teaching this art your whole lives. And Abhimanyu, because of the valor, because of the purity of the heart of his father and his grandfather and the whole line. So then she's talking about her son Parikshit, that would be the next emperor that she's protecting. So, see, even by the prayers of wanting to protect the great soul, then that's also devotional service. So she may be fraught at the end of her life's road, thinking she's going to die and calling out to God. But it's devotional service as well, from the perspective of Krishna. She's calling out and recognizing him as the controller. This is what we do when we're chanting the mantra. Krishna, you are the almighty force that we want to surrender our lives to and experience the immersion in the energy of. When the yogis are trying to become one with the external energy of Krishna, because that's what that radiant light from his body, his aura is. But see, a devotee being engaged in the spiritual energy, actually himself being immersed in that which the yogis think they're going to get. See? Because it's the energy of Krishna then that's driving us. And we have the choice, the soul has the choice. We can use the material energy, or we can use the spiritual energy. If we want to get back to God, we've got to stay in the spiritual energy of Krishna. And only take Krishna Krishna. Only associate with devotees and give to all those that we need what we have in Krishna consciousness to give, which is the freedom from the bonds of birth, death, old age, and disease. What greater gift? When you're giving someone a Bhagavad Gita, I can't think of a greater gift besides Bhagavatam. Chaitanya Charitamrita. But all of them, any one of them even, is an introduction into the spiritual world, you could say. So how can you put a price on that, really? The book itself, contact with these books even. When I came back, I had Bhagavatam, one or two volumes on the bookshelf I had, and I was looking for a book to read, and Bhagavatam just jumped out at me. I had never seen anything like it happen in my life. The book just jumps out of the bookshelf. And I said, oh, it's time to call Detroit. I'm going back home, Call up Giri Govardhan. Prabhu, can I come and serve again? Yeah, of course, wide open. Krishna's mercy. See, a lot of times we fall on the path, but Krishna lets us pick up where we left off. And that's to a great extent what has been said by Srila Prabhupada to the devotees, that we are doing that when we initially come to the movement as well. That we've had contact in a previous life even. To be coming in contact with this spiritual path as close to the visit Lord Chaitanya made just a few hundred years ago, with the influence of his teachings now becoming prominent more and more and more on the planet. We are at the verge of the golden age. I want to keep repeating this every class, because when we start to see the actual effects of the earth's moving, devotees who are aware won't be surprised. But I'm not prepared. I keep telling Tirthapad, we have the means of producing water out of the air by a simple machine. We have the means of producing electricity out of the earth by the use of a simple machine, actually. But I'm not developing those things. But I have the suspicion that there may come a time when we may need those things or similar things in order to be able to survive. Because if water is not available, you've got to have a means of providing water. You can't go very long without water unless Krishna gives you the ability. And there are so many evidences now of catastrophes that are taking place now, and people are not prepared. And we have all these so-called warnings, departments of warnings, we call them, that they have foresight, and they warn people, know, I'll stay in my house. And then they drown with the floods. Attachment. And so, similarly, if we hear these things and we take it for real and for truth, then in order for that protective sense that we have for others, we can't protect others if we don't protect ourselves. So with knowledge comes responsibility as well. And these things are easy, just like looking through a microscope. Now that might be thought of a mundane activity by a lot of people. But if you approach it respectively, same way we approach Gayatri. Because in Gayatri, you're approaching the universe from a perspective of being on the land where Mahavishnu is on the causal ocean. He's giving you the perspective in giving you the Maha Mantra the way it's taught for you to meditate on, of being on the inner surface of the universe, which is the same surface that Mahavishnu is lying on. And that, you could say, is Krishna consciousness. It is a viewpoint of the universe that you could only have if God revealed it to you, right? But because the Guru gives you this direct instruction to chant this mantra 3 times a day, you're forced. And being forced, then, by applying the principle, you're going to follow the instructions and how it's done properly. By doing that, then, concentrate on the end of your nose and you just picture in your mind the lower, the middle, and the upper planetary systems. Then you picture in your mind, and you're supposed to be doing this while you're facing the sun. Because there is a throne in the center of the sun. And there's a throne in the center of this earth as well. And there's a sun in the middle of this earth. And so when the ruler of the emperor of the planet is then made manifest, he will be in this same line I'm talking about. This is Maharaj Parikshit, who is in the family disciplic chain that the next emperor will be manifest as in it. And this, it looks to me to be the one they call Christ, Jesus. Erringly they call him Jesus, because this is a concocted name. But it will be the time when the prophecies are fulfilled. When the earth is aligned, the energies of the earth are going to be felt in a different way as well. And so even the plants that have roots, the flowing waters under the ground, the magnetic forces, all these things are going to be affected. And all these things are what's being used for communication. So, the more we can get people, I believe that the protection of devotees. This is the same protection that Mother Uttara is expressing to Krishna, that devotees are expressing to Krishna for their ability to give Krishna to others. It is in itself a protective energy. Because if Krishna so much as seeing the devotion you have in your heart that you want to offer him something, and he is so respectful of that he's willing to transform it into a completely different substance right before your eyes. And you can partake of it as an eternal substance. It's prashad. Being transformed just by the glance of the Supreme Person. So if he can do that by his glance, then what he can do through us, with us repeating his words as well. So, if I'm not mistaken, Narad Muni was preaching to Maharaj Parikshit in the womb. I'm not sure if he gave him, what did he give him? Bhagavad Gita, possibly. He got Bhagavad Gita in the womb of his mother, Maharaj Parikshit. So he was already an advanced soul. See, this is the kind of soul we're talking about, coming here with the purpose, serving the Lord. And then he's put in the position to be able to fulfill that because he had met the qualification in a previous life even. We're concerned about meeting the qualification in the here and now because we haven't met it yet. But someone of the stature of Maharaj Parikshit who comes here already with the purpose of wanting to give life to the living entities and guidance in the respective positions. All the Pandavas were of that same mind, and they were all born of demigods. And they all stood minimum probably 10 feet tall. You can only imagine what kind of a planet this was then. If what we are seeing done by the works of men who are 6 feet tall, just imagine what works are being done by men who are 12 feet tall. But they got to be so evil, Krishna had to bring a stop to them. All these kings who were, you can see how many millions and millions and millions of warriors were being brought to Krishna by Jarasandha. This time, this is brought out over and over again in Bhagavad Gita. Srila Prabhupada makes mention of it, so that we know that this wasn't the first war, this Bhagavad Gita wasn't in that lifetime that Krishna was revealing there. It wasn't his first time fighting a battle of such nature. But single-handedly, he had already done that 22 times. Jarasandha bringing these armies against him. And Balaram, of course, they both together. Can you imagine what kind of dexterity they had to be able to pull off millions of military men?
Oh.
Yeah. I know. But see, Krishna has the advantage of knowing the thoughts of every one of them, where they're going, who the captain is, who Marshal is, every one of them, and all their plans. So he can ambush them at any time. He knows where they're going and when to get them. So you can't hide from Krishna. And more than hide from Krishna, Srila Prabhupada says, don't serve Krishna in a way that you could see Krishna. Serve Krishna in a way that Krishna will want to see you.
Oh, okay. I've heard that before. Yeah.
So, yeah. That's what we want to make Krishna.
Ginger wine.
It's a different mindset, actually.
Yeah.
And, you know, before you come to hear anything like that, you think of pursuing your love to see God as a great emotion to have, right? A great feeling, a great endeavor to make. But then Srila Prabhupada comes along and breaks that, combined with false ego, because it's desire to be satisfied ourselves. And we see on the battlefield, Arjuna wasn't manifesting that as his reason for being with Krishna or having chosen Krishna. They were friends, and then what to speak, they were cousins as well. And so the desire, and he didn't even know Krishna was God up until Krishna revealed it to him on the battlefield. So then he wouldn't have been approaching Krishna for all his abilities, or to see this thing or that thing or the other thing. And Krishna points out several times the fact that he was so much appreciative of the kind of consciousness he did have. And if you see in the conversation he's having with Krishna, he's always expressing concern for others, the well-being of others. Not even thinking about himself. I'd rather just go off and, But Krishna was explaining to him the importance of justice, the importance of truth. And those who are wrongdoers have to be brought to justice, otherwise they will suffer even worse. So if we are giving the impression that we love them and are concerned for their well-being, and in exerting that belief, then we say that we want to let them go away without punishment. It actually makes it worse for them. So it's a false conception we have of what love is. False conception of what we have, of what we're thinking compassion is for the soul. And see, when this is taught at childhood, by the time the person reaches 19, 20 years old, they're taking second thoughts about whether they want to do these activities that are going to get them the kind of suffering that is revealed in Bhagavatam that comes. When you see that it has taken lifetime after lifetime for the soul to develop habits, it's easily understood that it can take very severe experience of pain and suffering to change those habits and to deter someone like Hitler, for example. And we have a lot of people, they're not as powerful as Hitler, but they have the same perspective about their race being a superior race, about other races being inferior, they must be wiped out. And these kinds of things lodge in the minds of certain people. And they affect society. It comes back. These people engage in the totality of the summation of karma. It's all put together in, they call it a melting pot. Isn't it? United States, melting pot. And it really is. Everybody's karma gets melted into one big pot. Because even their religious activities are not keeping them free from the activities that keep disbelievers being disbelievers. Eating, engaging in alcoholic beverages, sexual activities, their wives. It's looked at as a necessity by most modern schools of thought in psychology, colleges. Wives and husbands have to have sexual relationships almost constantly. The more frequent it is looked at as, the more healthy the relationship is. Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, Srila Prabhupada's teachings reveal the more the relationship is based on sexual pleasure, the more they will lead towards argument, not getting along with one another, having disagreements, religious, nothing. because the forces of nature are such that one gains control over the amount of the energy, and then they want more control. And they're both using their ability to attract the other to get their way from each other, right? This is how husband and wife work like that. And then as soon as one stops fulfilling that function, which for some devotees, when they come to the movement and they have already established a 3 times a week relationship with their wife, then they all of a sudden want to know, I can't do that anymore. Then their wives become bitter, right? Sometimes. But there are women who will be intelligent enough to realize, by looking at her own past and learning by her own mistakes, their own mistakes, our own mistakes. There are mistakes that others have made that we can benefit by, that we may have even thought in our mind might be a good thing to do. And then we learn the result of it by hearing testimony from other people. This is why people that have been in the, not sheltered so much in life and have gone through hardships and then come to surrender to God, having gone through those hardships, they have the ability to help other people who are thinking what caused their hardships might be fun, shooting up drugs or whatever. So this is by personal experience, but some people won't be convinced unless they do it themselves. I had an experience with a guy. I was kind of strict when I was a Christian. I got trained up in a ministry in Dayton, Ohio called Life Anew. So this thing about smoking cigarettes was a big no-no to us. And in Christian, most of Christianity is, unless you go down south Kentucky where they grow tobacco. So anyways, after one of our meetings, the guy's outside smoking a cigarette. I said to him, do you think you need me? Is Christ telling you to smoke cigarettes? Oh yeah, I can smoke cigarettes. It doesn't bother him at all. I said, okay. I said, have you ever prayed about it? No, I don't need to pray. I said, well, let's pray about it. You pray about it, and I'll pray about it. And then next week you come and tell me what your experience was of the prayer. Next week I'm seeing him, holding a cigarette, smoking a cigarette. I said, did you pray about it? I said, yeah, I prayed about it. Didn't get any message from me. I said, well, I fell asleep with a cigarette in my hand. My bed started on fire. So here he is telling me that was a cigarette in his hand.
Addiction.
I said, yeah. I said, well, didn't that tell you something? He said, I can't quit.
I had a theater professor that smoked like a freight train, and when she got old, she was on oxygen, and she blew herself up smoking on oxygen.
Goofy.
Yeah.
Wow.
On pure
That's
oxygen,
how
not just
strong. See, and what could happen, I'm not saying it happened under every circumstance, but when people die with those kinds of so-called euphoric desires, they can very easily enter into a ghostly state, especially if they're using what's called spirits, alcohol. These have the means of transferring the subtle body or the soul into a ghostly form.
So how long do you have to stay in that form?
Until Lord Shiva shows you some mercy.
Wow.
Yeah. He's see, like Krishna is inhabiting every cell, every atom. And so he knows the condition of every soul and what every soul needs to go through in order to be reinstated to their state of normalcy. But some souls, you can see, and when you take this philosophy long enough, you'll start seeing animalistic propensities in people that show up. in their faces, in their actions. Just like I was telling you that guy that went into, trying to remember a London author that wrote about this account, but he went into this restaurant that had a mortiform Hanuman. And he put his cigarette out in Hanuman's eye. And he turned in, from there on, he started turning into a dog.
You started what?
Turning into a dog from peeing in the bushes, eating raw meat, these kinds of things. Yeah. And this English writer experienced his transformation of who he thought was his friend. But it was by this one act. Hanuman is very powerful brahmachari.
Yes.
Yeah. When Bhima, they're brothers, but Bhima had the strength of 50,000, 60,000 elephants, and he couldn't move Hanuman's tail. Hanuman was slacking his pad. Bhima, who in the world is this monkey? I can't even move his tail. And it was his brother Hanuman. So, it's under bite, yeah. See? The person, here's another confirmation of this. When I say the person they're calling Jesus is the son of Indra, you know what he called his disciples? The sons of thunder. Said that to Peter.
This is in the Bible?
Yeah.
That's in the Bible. Said that to Peter and maybe John or someone else. Called them the sons of thunder. Now people just read over that and just thought that was a comment that he might be complimentary, saying something to them. But as his disciples, and the rebirth process that he's talking about, bringing them into, they have become his disciples, and his father, the one he's referring to constantly to pray to, who is Indra, is the control of thunder.
Right.
So that would make them the sons.
So the thunder, right? Exactly. Wow, overlapping. Wow, that's deep.
Yeah.
The spirituality is one.
It is. Yeah.
Right.
And see, all these cultures are going to be eventually joined together. And they all become aware of each other's sameness, oneness, purpose. These regulative principles are for us, I believe, the means to persuade any of them who are sincere about wanting to serve God. Because if they're willing to give up these four things, they can live free from sin. Because if they have that desire, Krishna will draw them towards the whole process, keeping them free from that, of course. The chanting itself is being credited with being the only demand Krishna is making of humanity at large. But the whole process Srila Prabhupada is giving, including the other forms of this meditation, there's deity worship, fire sacrifice. So we're engaging in all of those processes, which also add, which makes it even easier for those that are surrendering to take full shelter of what ISKCON has to offer. It just makes it that much easier for them to be able to, as you can probably see, which probably have a desire. I wish I could live there and just, have the services they're doing all the time. And it's by desire. If you have the desire, I haven't seen a desire I've had in developing Krishna consciousness that's ever been. Of course, I don't remember a desire in my life ever being refused, but I never asked for bad things. And as it says, if you ask God according to His will, then it pleases Him to reward you. Doesn't that make sense? But the thing is, when you're asking for God, what's already going to come anyway, it's just like full knowledge already there without you having to ask. This is the thing about the presence of God's name, knowing that when we chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, The only other question needs to be asked is, please, dear God, help me to be engaged in your service. And that's the answer to it all. Because if we're fully engaged, we're doing everything we can in the spiritual energy to promote the highest form of knowledge there is. So there's nothing else expected of it. And in that mode, in that manner, continuously throughout every day of every year of your life, then from there on in, at the end of that life, you're a saintly person. So Prabhupada was a saintly person. There is no sin to be found. By God's mercy, of course. It's not by our own doing, but by following the instructions that God gives. And He gives the ability, He says, the ability Himself in us to follow. Any comments, any questions?
Like it is mentioned, like Uttara is a student of great devotee. Like,
Yeah.
who is that? Like who taught Uttara?
Who is Uttara?
No, who student under whom? Like which devotee?
Or was she under? Yeah, Narad Muni. Yeah. Narad Muni is the one protecting her. Because similarly, it's amazing, he's looking out because he knows Krishna, he knows the future that's coming and Krishna's Leela that's going to take place. So he knows who's devotee.
Because in like when Pandavas are in disguise, like Arjuna was in a role of teacher and he taught Uttara dance and
Yeah.
so is it that's here great devotee means Arjuna Narada dimension of
Yeah. Is he the great devotee? Want to say that again?
no. It is mentioned like she was fortunate in every respect, like she's wife of a superhero, like
Yes.
she is a student of great pure devotee or
Yeah.
great devotee. So my question is like here they are referring to Narada Muni or Arjuna.
Oh, as her teacher.
Yeah.
See, too, we do take, just like there's called seven mothers, there's also teachers that we put in the position of guru.
Yeah.
So we learn from our father, he's a guru, right? And we learn from our guru, but we will also have teachers. So every teacher we have is supposed to be looked at as the same reverence. A child should look at every teacher that they have, whether it's an English teacher, math teacher, whatever. They're gurus, right? So in that regard, she had more than one teacher. And just as we have the term shiksha and diksha, we have a guru that will initiate us and willing to take the responsibility of our karma with them. But for us to follow the principles he gives us to follow. But then we also have Shiksha gurus that every day are guiding us and helping us and working with us and serving the same purpose. So there's also a statement in the scriptures, I think there's 7 animals that are described as being gurus.
In nature there are 24 gurus or something it is
Okay, 24, there you go.
24 gurus in nature.
Yeah.
I think I have.
So, see, they are each revealing, as I've been saying, dormant abilities of the soul that are actually very favorable to developing Krishna consciousness. A dog's satisfaction with very little. His faithfulness to his master. And you have...
In 11th canto it is mentioned in chapter 6 to 9. There are 24 gurus, like it's in conversation with Yadu Maharaj and with Avaduta Dattatreya.
I think the rooster is there, how he rises every morning. We used to have a rooster in Florida, and when we had a freezer that was converted into a storage bin for feed for the birds, right? When you lifted up that story's been. You know, as soon as the birds heard that, boy, you see chickens running from every place in town, you know, just coming to get their feed. And then every single one at the same exact time, I'm a rooster! And then about 2 seconds later, I'm a rooster too! And it works just like an alarm clock. We have to get up after you hear that. Oh boy, here comes the sun. You know, just about ready to go. And that's like 1 muhurta before the sun rises. Just like it says we should. So these roosters are kind of geared like that as well to rise. You see animals rising early in the morning like that. What is the saying? Early bird gets the worm. Yeah. There's also a saying, late mouse gets the cheese. First mouse got the trap. Are there any comments, any questions, any comments, anything? John, Grunter Shrimadbhagavatam, Srila Prabhupada.